Hi, I'm Alison Taafe, the Sassy Chef. Welcome. We're going to make some beautiful dishes today so that will help you with some smart choices to health up your tuck shops. The first dishes I'm going to do today is a Moroccan sweet potato soup with chickpeas, and followed by beautiful apricot chicken, which also has sweet potatoes in it. And the idea is to try and use the same ingredients a couple of times in different dishes for you. So let's get started. The first thing is going to be my sweet potato soup with a Moroccan influence. What I would like to show you is how to chop, how to cut. Now I know some of you already know this, so bear with me, some of you might not. So what I want to try and do is show you a safe way of cutting. So some sweet potatoes have been peeled already. We're going to cut that in half so that we get a nice stable edge, so we're not chasing the sweet potato around on the board, and make some nice thick slices so that we can then dice. Be very careful and make little batons, and then take the knife across and simply make some small dices. Not too small, because we want to make the soup, beautiful and vibrant and full of nutrients, so we don't want them to cook completely down. So yeah, just probably around about 2 centimetres maybe diced. And then we can make a beautiful soup. Just make sure all the sizes are the same size and that they're even, so that they cook at the same time. So keeping the knife nice and straight, almost like a guillotine action where you're just chopping down like so, and of course keep your fingers out the way. All right, so let's pop those into our little container. And meanwhile, I'm just going to put the stove on. I'm using quite a large pan because I'd like you to use the same pan to prepare the soup as to puree. So you need something a little big enough for around about 1 to 1.5 litres of soup, depending on the size and the quantity that you're making. But don't start in a frying pan, because then you're not going to be able to get your liquid in there. So let's get that on. Let's get a bit of olive oil. A little bit of olive oil in there, or vegetable oil. Just a touch, not too much, just to stop our onions and vegetables sticking. So we have our sweet potatoes chopped up there. We're also going to chop some onion, and I'd like to show you how to finely chop the onion. First of all, we're going to peel it. Leave the little root end attached if you can. That way, you know when you're cutting this in half, you can still identify the little grassy end of the onion, which is your friend in this exercise. Okay, so take a small knife, and then while the root end is away from you, I'm right-handed, so the root end is on my left-hand side. What you're going to do is make some small cuts. Then you're going to take a small knife and go across and make 2 little cuts, just like so. Yeah. That wasn't the camera speeding up, that was me, sorry. I'll just do it slowly for you. I can't help it. Okay, all right, so then take the onion and the slices that you've cut with the root away from you, just using that same action where you just chop down without your fingers, tuck them away, and you get these beautiful chopped onions. And no tears, because you're not covering the board with onions and chopping for ages. It's a very fast way of doing it, and no tears, which is great, isn't it? Because we all worry about that, don't we? Life's too great to cry about onions, All right, so get them off the board straight away so that they're not all in your face and giving you, sore eyes. Get those off the board, and always give the board a bit of a wipe down or a wash down so that you can get rid of that odour in front of you. And if you are crying, try wearing swimming goggles or glasses. Some of my students do that. Or take a wander over to a sink area and just wash your hands. Simply, that movement will clear the air of onions, which is great. All right, so now we're ready. We've got a low heat here because we don't want to burn our onions. Our onions are going to go into the pan. And you would notice that wasn't like a really fired up sizzle. I don't want these to fry. So I'm not using a frying pan for that purpose. I am using a saucepan, as I said. But basically this will sweat the onions, which means gently cooking in a little bit of oil with no colour. So while they're sizzling away a little bit there nice and lightly, what you can also do is prepare some of the other ingredients. We've got some celery chopped up here. We've also got our sweet potatoes, which we did before. Some of the other ingredients in this recipe include chickpeas, which are a great healthy addition to any soup or casserole. Really good to get some legumes into your food if you can. Using some Moroccan spices, some turmeric, some cumin and some cinnamon in this dish. Okay, so my onions have had a little head start. I'm going to add the celery as well, which has been finely diced. Roughly chopped if you like, it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. It's all being pureed anyway. All right, so give that celery a little while just to infuse a little bit with the onions there. So give them a good 5 minutes on their own first, okay? Next job is to add some of our spices. So turmeric gives us a nice vibrant yellow colour, and of course a little bit of Moroccan spice. Cumin, it wouldn't be a Moroccan dish without that, would it? So some ground cumin going in, and a little bit of cinnamon, which is odd because you tend to think of cinnamon as being sweet, but cinnamon's in a lot of curry powders and also in a lot of Middle Eastern food as well. So give that a little bit of a head start because we want to wake those spices up. They've been asleep for, in my mum's drawer, they've been asleep for 20 years, but they're hopefully no longer than about 6 months to a year. But this way we're getting some more energy into them. You can smell it. It comes up beautifully. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in here as well. So I've got some chopped garlic. Now don't panic, I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. Just want to get that into that pan and get that head start. Now if it does tend to get a bit dry in the pan, just take a little bit of oil and just run a little bit of oil into the centre where it's drying. I don't want you to burn the spices, but I do want you to sweat them and get them very energetic and aromatic. So yeah, that way we've got this beautiful cumin and turmeric and cinnamon together. It just smells fantastic. Beautiful for winter as well. All right, so let me just show you this garlic. Take a garlic clove and take off, you've got a hard end where it's at the bottom of the garlic and a top that's quite light. Take the bottom off and the top, and don't worry about the peeling yet. I'm going to show you a really nifty way of doing this. Okay, just hold the knife over the top and flatten the garlic with the blade away from you, like so. And then you just slip out the skin almost in one piece. Easy, easy as. Just slip out the skin, and that way you can then chop over the garlic. It's already smashed a little bit for you, and you can chop it over with your knife skills, newly acquired maybe. Okay, and just chop it over roughly. And it doesn't have to be too fine because we're actually going to puree the soup. So just a rough chop over and straight into the soup. Easy. Takes less than 2 seconds to do that job. All right, so now we've got our beautiful pan of onions and Moroccan spices. And we've got garlic happening there. Next job is to add our sweet potatoes. Now you can also use pumpkin in this recipe if you wanted to switch over the ingredients. Sweet potatoes are great, low GI, really good, very healthy and nice for winter as well. It's also a green vegetable on our scale. So it's a green vegetable. I know it's orange and you're saying now, does she have colour blindness? No. When I say green, I mean a really good vegetable to use. So we're just going to use the sweet potato. Just going to toss that over a little bit in the pan with some of that beautiful onion and spice mixture and just get a little bit of flavour into there. Now we can't make a soup out of this, we've got to put some liquid in. So you can use water if you're worried about using stock powders and instant stocks with lots of salt. You can use a vegetable stock or a chicken stock, depending on what you have in stock as in your cupboards. I'm using a low salt vegetable stock, and likewise you can buy low salt chicken stocks. And it's instant because not everybody has time to make fresh stock at home, I understand that. So pop that in and make sure that your potatoes are covered in liquid. And if they're not, just add a little splash more water or stock just to cover them. And then turn up the heat and bring it to the boil. So just going to wait for that to come up to the boil. And when it starts to boil, you're going to turn it down to a simmer. And you're really only going to cook that until the sweet potato is soft. Don't worry about all the other veg. That's going to be soft before the sweet potato. So your judge is to take a piece of sweet potato, squeeze it between your fingers. And if it's soft, you're ready to go. Overcooking it will take away some of the nutrients, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep them all in this lovely soup. So, because I know we are mindful of time, I'm going to speed ahead a little bit, fast forward, so without you pushing your remotes. I've made a soup in advance, so I can show you the finished soup, which is about 15 or 20 minutes away. So let me just push this one off the stove for a moment. I'm going to grab one that I've made earlier. It's the beauty of television. And what I'm going to do is just show you how I puree that soup. And then we're going to add some chickpeas, some milk, and I'm going to check the seasoning. That's the last thing I'm going to do. So hopefully you've all got one of these stick blenders at home. If not, you can just put that into a food processor or any kind of blender or vitamizer or a liquidizer, anything like that, and you can blend it up. Okay, so I'm just going to use my stick blender, tilt the pan up slightly so you've got depth where you're blending. Just press, you can pulse it if you're frightened, or you can just move it around gently at the bottom of the soup. Continue to blend, and the best way of cleaning these is, fill up a sink with hot soapy water and actually blend the sink water, and it cleans all the blade inside. It's a very good way of doing it. Keep the wire away from the water, of course, but otherwise you can just dismantle them and then keep that separate and wash this up. All right, so my soup is looking beautiful. It's got a lovely richness about it. It's pureed. I'm just going to put a few chickpeas into here just to give it a little bit of extra protein, and also adding legumes is very good for a nice healthy lunch, and that's what we want in our tuck shops, isn't it? Something really healthy, but also something very delicious. So now I need to put a little bit of seasoning in. Taste the soup first. For me, I'm very likely to just add seasoning before I'd even taste. So taste it first, and you might find with all those lovely spices and garlic that you don't need too much salt. So just if you can use natural salt, even better, but very small amount of salt, plenty of pepper. No one's come up with a reason not to eat pepper just yet. Let's wait, maybe in a few years, but right now we're safe on that one. So let's put some pepper in there. And what we're going to do now is, because the soup's quite thick, and you can probably all see how thick that soup is, we're going to add a little bit of milk to this, and this is a light milk going in. So in place of any sort of creams or anything else, we're going to add a little bit of light milk. Now you don't have to add that. You can just use a little bit of extra water if you wanted to. So let's just bring that up to a nice temperature, and we're going to serve that up. Now you can serve it with a bit of chopped coriander, a little bit of chopped parsley if you want. If not, it's fine just the way it is. So we're going to use a lovely bowl just to show you the presentation, but also you're more likely to use an insulated cup in your tuck shops. So I'm going to just use both of these things, and I will show you how beautiful the soup will appear. So obviously you know you're going to heat the soup up to a safe temperature, anything above about 75 to 80 degrees, and then you can make sure that you're not going to burn anybody with the soup, which is a problem. And don't overfill your cups, only up to about 3/4 or 2/3 full. Beautiful. Let's put some of that in that lovely bowl, maybe a little bit more. Okay, and as I say, I'm going to put a little bit of chopped parsley on there, or even chopped coriander, depending on what you can get in your tuck shops. Beautiful. Just grab a lovely bit of fresh parsley there at the top, and we're just going to run our knife just across that. Nice and chunky with a little bit of texture. Nice bit on top of the soup. And we've got a little lid that we can pop on, ready for people to enjoy. So a lovely healthy start to a lunch. Chickpeas are in there for extra protein, so it's an excellent recipe, and it's utilising winter ingredients. And don't forget, these recipes are all available at the Smart Choices website. So following on from our beautiful Moroccan sweet potato soup, I'm going to use the same ingredients but in a different way to make my apricot chicken. So I'm going to use sweet potatoes, and I'm going to use chickpeas again. So we can utilise the same ingredients. Chickpeas are great because you can buy them in cans and they can stay in your storeroom for months. So you've always got them on hand. Okay, first of all, I'm going to make the apricot chicken. I'm going to cook the chicken first. So heat the pan with a little bit of olive oil or vegetable oil. And your chicken, this time I'm using breast. You can use chicken thigh meat in this recipe if you wish. Make sure the skin is off and make sure it's fat-free, so trim off any excess fat that you may have. Be careful when you're handling raw chicken. If you put your hands in, remember to sanitise and wash the hand again before you start making sandwiches and things like that in your tuck shop. So I tend to use 2 different spoons. So for me, I just want to check that the oil, you can probably hear that just sizzling lightly. I just want to make sure the oil is hot enough so that the chicken doesn't stick to the bottom of my pan. I don't want it to be so hot though that it fries and makes colour. This is really, as I was saying, like before with the soup, I'm really only sealing the chicken. I'm not actually colouring it. So I'm using a saucepan rather than a frying pan to do that job. With a frying pan, because there's no sides to restrict the steam, the condensation and steam escape and the pan becomes very, very hot, thus colouring the food. So if you're making something like a risotto or a nice casserole and you don't really want the food to brown, then use a saucepan or a casserole dish. It's for that purpose because it traps the steam and the condensation and lowers the temperature of the pan. So you see now the chicken, I've taken it out of the pan. It's started to look as if it's cooked, but it's not quite. So we call it sealing the chicken or part cooking the chicken. So it's nice and white and it's firmed up nicely. So in the same pan, if you need a little bit of extra oil, just a splash will do. You're going to add some diced celery, some chopped carrot, just roughly chopped carrot, but all the same sort of size if you can. And you're also going to put a little bit of leek in as well. Now, just keep that moving and make sure you don't burn it, but just on a nice gentle heat so that you get some flavour happening into there. Now, while that's cooking there, I'm going to show you how to chop the celery because I didn't do the celery last time. So you've got a stalk of celery, it's been washed and cleaned, cut it in half. It's always easier to work with a smaller piece of food than trying to chase a great big lump around. What you need to do, you can turn it over so it's nice and stable. Cut it into strips so it's nice and stable rather than rocking around on you. Okay. Line up the strips or the batons and then just using the same knife action as we did before. We've got our beautiful little diced celery. It's easy when you know how, isn't it? Okay, so our little cool board with a little hole in it, just perfect for this job. All right, so let's just speed this up a little bit. So the celery and carrots are given a little bit of a head start first. Give them about 5 minutes. And then we're going to add our spices. This time we're using a ground cumin. And we're going to add some garlic. So I showed you garlic in the last recipe, so by now you're all whizzes at chopping up your garlic. And we don't put the garlic and spices in too early with the other stuff because it will burn. So this way it gives it a chance to all come together beautifully. So you can see a beautiful mix and you can smell the aroma. So it's similar ingredients to last time, so you can do both these dishes using the same things. All right. So as soon as you can smell the garlic and cumin, you know that's starting to infuse and get aromatic, which is what we want. So next job is to add the sweet potatoes, and as you can see we've diced those up just like we did in the last recipe. So if you're going to do both of these recipes the same day, it's the same preparation, which is really good, so it saves you some time. So add your diced sweet potatoes, a little stir around, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cook those a little bit first using a little bit of stock. Now, like I said before, at home and in the tuck shop, you don't have time to make fresh stocks. I appreciate if you do, fantastic. If not, make up a very weak solution of the powdered stock and make sure it's salt reduced. So you can use vegetable or chicken for this dish. So add your liquid over your potatoes, and just like you did, it's almost the same recipe as the soup. We're just going to bring that to the boil, and then you're going to cook that until the potatoes are just soft. Not as soft as the soup, but just cooked. Because the last stage is going to be adding the chicken, some chickpeas and some apricots. After all, this is apricot chicken, isn't it? Okay, so the chicken that we did earlier, we pre-sealed it earlier. We're going to add that in. The juice is in there as well, so don't worry about that. Add it all, the nutrients and all the goodness going in. And then just bring it back up to the boil. So you'll see that you'll notice that the sweet potatoes are just cooked. They're just allowing me to squeeze them gently, but they've still kept their shape nicely. So allow that chicken now to cook a little bit in that liquid because it was only partly cooked before. Make sure you don't undercook chicken, a little bit too dangerous. Make sure it's all healthy all the way through. This chicken will be quite firm to the touch, so give it about 5 minutes and then squeeze test it and make sure it's firm to your touch. If in doubt, take a piece out and cut open. That's all you've got to do. One piece of chicken lost is better than the result of having uncooked chicken. So bring that up to the boil, add a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of pepper. We won't add any salt yet until the end, until we can taste it. I'm going to use chickpeas again, and something I may not have said before, but I want to just confirm. When you buy the chickpeas, make sure they're not in brine. Make sure they're just in like a spring water with no added salt, because we want to make sure that we're not adding too much salt to this food. So add the chickpeas. And we've got apricots, so dried apricots here, just cut into quarters. You can leave them whole, but with quarters they go further. So add those. That'll add a little bit of sweetness into this dish as well. So let me show you the chicken. As soon as the chicken is cooked, it's firm. See, already bouncing back to the touch. Nice and firm. Okay, so just bring that back up to the boil. And we're going to put some honey in. A little bit of honey chicken with the, a little bit of honey in the apricot chicken. Give it a nice little bit of sweetness. And also help to just bring those ingredients together and thicken. Just be careful how much you use. Probably only about a tablespoon going in there. Plenty. Now you can serve this dish with rice or noodles, maybe some pasta, but you don't really need to because you have sweet potatoes and chickpeas in there. So you've got the starch and the pulse in there anyway. And otherwise this is a very, very healthy dish. So if you wanted to serve rice, maybe make a brown rice choice if you can. It would be much more healthy. I might just chop a little bit of parsley for the top of this one as well. Just pop that in at the last minute. Must add a little bit of freshness to that there too. Now, if you think that the liquid is a little bit runny, you can actually cook the liquid down a little bit further if you wish, but just be careful not to overcook the chicken and potatoes if you decide to do that. So this way we've got a lovely vibrant colour in the dish. In the dish as well, because it's purple, but in this actual food is very colourful too. And there's also a lot of green vegetables, as in the green meaning colour and healthy, in there as well with the celery and the leek and also the sweet potatoes. So pop that up on there. Beautiful. Just make sure I've got some lively colour on the top of that, and a little bit of chicken so you can see all the ingredients. Lovely. So a little bit of garnish on the top of that, a little bit of leek, just there. A little bit of pepper. No need for any salt in that. It was beautiful as it was. So the chickpeas added a little bit of seasoning with them, as did the chicken, and also some of the stock. So I didn't even need to add any other ingredients to that. So a little bit of honey on the top. Now, for your tuck shop, this one looks beautiful for home. For your tuck shop, you're looking at a plastic container, I suggest, or even a noodle box. If you wanted to put some rice down first or noodles, you could pop this on the top. But yeah, it's just in a little box. So there's some beautiful healthy choices for winter for your tuck shops. I've got my beautiful Moroccan inspired apricot chicken. So there's a little bit of honey and chickpea in there, using the sweet potatoes as well. So that's a lovely one on your menus. And then I've got the Moroccan spicy sweet potato soup as well. So similar ingredients so that you can utilise the same thing in your storeroom. Fantastic for winter, full of nutrients, tasty, and everyone's going to love it. So don't forget to go to the Smart Choices website for all the recipes. And thanks so much for watching, and keep warm this winter.